The snow was falling hard that night, thick and quiet, the kind that makes the whole world feel smaller. A man in an expensive coat stepped out of his black luxury car, annoyed and tired, thinking only about himself until a small, trembling voice cut through the cold air and changed everything. Those four simple words, spoken by a child who believed in magic, hit him harder than any business loss ever had. And in that moment, a man who had everything realized just how empty his heart had become. Before we begin, take a moment to subscribe, like this video, and leave a comment below if this story touches your heart. It truly helps our channel grow and allows us to share more stories like this. You're watching Heartfelt Moment, where kindness and humanity always come first. The man's name was Richard Hale. In his early 50s, he was a real estate tycoon known across the city. Tall, sharp-faced, always dressed in tailored suits, Richard had spent decades building his empire. He owned buildings, companies, and vacation homes. But what he didn't have, though few knew it, was warmth. That December evening, Richard had just left a charity gala downtown. Crystal chandeliers, expensive food, and polite applause still echoed in his mind. He'd written a large check, posed for photos, and listened to speeches about giving back. It all felt routine. Meaningless. His driver pulled up near his townhouse, but traffic had forced them to park a block away. Annoyed, Richard stepped out into the snow, adjusting his coat, already planning tomorrow's meetings. That's when he saw the child. The boy couldn't have been more than 8 years old. He stood near a flickering streetlight, wearing a thin jacket that was clearly too small. His shoes were worn, his hands red from the cold. He was holding a plastic grocery bag with just a few items inside. The boy looked up as Richard passed. Their eyes met. "Mister," the boy said softly. Richard hesitated. He wasn't used to being stopped. "Yes," he replied, distracted. The boy sniffed, his teeth chattering. "Santa missed our street this year." Richard froze. For a second, he thought he misheard. "What did you say?" The boy looked embarrassed but hopeful. "My little sister keeps asking when Santa's coming. I told her maybe he got lost. But I think he missed us." Richard felt something tighten in his chest. He glanced around. "Where are your parents?" The boy pointed down the block. "Mom's working late. I was sent to get milk and bread before the store closed." Richard noticed the snow soaking through the boy's jacket. Without thinking, he took off his gloves and handed them to him. "You're freezing." The boy smiled, surprised. "Thank you, sir." Richard cleared his throat. "What's your name?" "Ethan." They stood there for a moment, snow piling quietly on the sidewalk. Richard suddenly felt the cold too, but deeper, inside. "Ethan," Richard said gently, "do you believe Santa brings presents because kids are good?" Ethan nodded. "I try to be. My sister's only 4. She believes in everything." Something broke open inside Richard. He remembered his own childhood, long ago, before the money. He remembered believing. He remembered warmth. "Come on," Richard said suddenly. "Let's finish your shopping." At the store, Richard bought far more than milk and bread. He filled the cart with groceries, winter coats, scarves, and boots in both the boy's size and his sister's. Ethan's eyes grew wide. "You don't have to," he whispered. "I know," Richard replied. "But I want to." When they finished, Richard drove Ethan home. It was a small apartment building, old and tired. Inside, a little girl peeked out from behind the couch, clutching a stuffed rabbit. "Mom," Ethan said, "this is..." Before he could finish, Richard knelt down. "Hey there," he said softly. "I think Santa asked me to help him tonight." Her eyes sparkled. That night, Richard left behind more than bags of gifts. He left a generous envelope for their mother, a promise to help with rent, and his phone number. As he walked back into the snow, something felt different. Lighter. Over the next weeks, Richard couldn't stop thinking about Ethan's words. Santa missed our street. He realized how many streets he had missed in his life. How many people he had walked past. He started small. Visiting shelters. Funding heating for low-income apartments. Showing up without cameras. Without speeches. One evening, months later, Richard received a crayon drawing in the mail. It showed a man in a coat standing in the snow, holding hands with 2 children. Above it were messy letters, "Thank you for helping Santa." Richard smiled through tears. He finally understood that kindness wasn't about checks or events. It was about seeing someone. Really seeing them, and sometimes, all it takes to change a life is listening to a child's quiet truth on a cold winter night. So if you ever feel too busy, too important, or too distant to help, remember this story. Kindness doesn't need wealth. It only needs a heart that's willing to stop, listen, and care, because you never know whose street Santa might be missing, and how powerful your kindness can be.